Welcome to another deep dive. This time we're looking into Big Bear Construction.
A company that's really kind of reshaping the landscape of the modern mythology RPG setting.
Yeah. So if you are listening to this and you're thinking about building a base for your team, you've probably heard of Big Bear Construction.
They're kind of the go-to, and we're going to find out why.
Exactly. Why is everyone so excited about this company? We've got a great source for this. Bases.txt supplement.
By the incredible Malcolm Harris.
So I have to say, I had a chance to skim through this, and wow, I'm just fascinated. We're talking about a company founded by a Lakota chief with metahuman powers.
It's a wild story.
Building underwater tunnels, bases on Mars, you name it, they do it.
Plus, they've got this whole philosophy of working with the land and respecting the environment. It's not your typical construction company, that's for sure.
No, definitely not. All right, let's start with the basics. Where did Big Bear Construction even come from?
Well, we kind of have to go back to the Nemesis event. Remember that global energy surge that shook up the world?
Yeah, it was a big deal.
Yeah. Devastated a lot of tribal lands. And it was right in the midst of that chaos that a Lakota leader named Thomas Chief Big Bear, well, he stepped up to lead the rebuilding effort.
I've heard a little bit about him.
Yeah. Now, during the Nemesis event, he actually developed metahuman powers, right?
Wow.
So he started using those powers and the powers of other tribal members to rebuild. And that's how Big Bear Construction was born.
So out of this kind of chaos and destruction, something pretty incredible emerged.
Exactly. I mean, it was about helping their communities, rebuilding, and it just kind of took off from there.
Okay. But how did they go from rebuilding their own communities to, building on Mars?
Well, it's their workforce. When Big Bear helped rebuild parts of Kansas City after the Nemesis event, they were finishing in weeks what would have taken other crews months, even years.
Really?
Yeah. Their efficiency was just mind-blowing. So their speed, their quality, that got everybody's attention, especially big corporations and governments.
So wait, so are you telling me their workforce is made up of people with superpowers?
Pretty much, yeah. That's the post-human part of Big Bear. According to the supplement, their workforce is 70% post-human and 90% Indigenous American.
Wow. That's incredible. That's got to be one of the most unique workforces on the planet.
Absolutely. It's this amazing blend of, heritage and the future of construction.
Absolutely. So, how did these post-human abilities actually work on a construction site? I mean, what are we talking about?
Imagine earth movers shaping the foundation with their bare hands. We're talking about workers who can lift massive beams, no cranes needed.
Yeah.
Some workers, they can even fly, eliminating scaffolding, right?
Huh.
And welding, forget about it. They've got people who can just fuse metal with their minds.
Wow. That's a whole different level of construction.
Right.
Yeah. It's almost like magic.
Well, not magic, but it's definitely pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible. And they're not just relying on those powers, right? They've partnered with this company called Imagitech to develop specialized tools.
Okay. I've heard of Imagitech. Aren't they kind of rivals?
Yeah. In a way,
Yeah.
It's kind of a friendly rivalry. They push each other to innovate, to come up with even more mind-blowing technology.
So it's like this kind of competitive collaboration thing.
Exactly. And it leads to some amazing results.
Now, I do have to ask, building in all these different environments, we're talking bustling cities, wilderness areas, space.
Underwater, right.
Yeah, underwater.
Yeah.
How do they adapt?
Big Bear. They're all about working with the environment, not against it.
Okay.
They have specialized training programs for each type of environment. For example, their space construction program, it's considered the gold standard.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's rigorous. We're talking about a 6-month training course.
6 months. That's longer than some boot camps.
Oh, yeah. Space is unforgiving. You can't mess around up there. They have to be prepared for everything.
Right.
Radiation, meteor strikes.
So they're not just construction workers. They're almost like astronauts.
Exactly. It's a whole other level of expertise.
Okay. So what kind of projects are we actually talking about here? Give me some examples.
Well, their headquarters in Kansas City. It's the stunning example of indigenous architectural principles mixed with, the latest post-human construction. And then there's the Native American Cultural Center on the DC Orbitron.
Wait, they built a cultural center in space.
Yeah, it was a huge project, and it really solidified their reputation as the pioneers in space construction.
That's wild.
Right. Then you've got, they've done some amazing work in Emerald City, which is known for its eco-friendly approach.
Right.
They've done stuff on the moon, Mars. They even built an underwater tunnel connecting New York to the UK.
Okay. An underwater tunnel across the Atlantic. How?
Well, post-humans who can withstand incredible pressure and depth, they work with specialists in marine construction. It was an epic project.
Wow, okay. I am officially impressed. They've done it all.
Well, you know what tops it all?
What?
The Mount Rushmore project.
What did they do?
They relocated the faces to the DC Orbitron.
They moved Mount Rushmore into space.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a massive undertaking, both technically and politically, But they did it, and they managed to do it in a way that respected, the indigenous perspectives on the whole thing.
Okay, that's got to be the coolest construction project I've ever heard of.
It's pretty epic.
Okay. But let's talk about the man behind all this. Chief Thomas Big Bear himself. He's more than just a CEO, right?
Oh, yeah. He's a legend, a real larger-than-life figure.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about his background, Lakota heritage, Sparta Black Ops training, and then, those ancestral powers that he got during the Nemesis event.
Right.
It's an incredible combination. And, it really comes through in his leadership style. He blends this business savvy with a deep respect for tradition.
Any good stories about him? There's got to be some good stories.
Oh, tons of stories. There's this great quote from Eric Hunter Hampton, the Vigilantes, right? He said, "Mad respect for the chief. Any man who'd beat a racist to death with Washington's nose from Mount Rushmore is okay in my book."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a story for another time. For sure.
But it does kind of paint a picture, right?
Yeah.
Strong, principled, not afraid to take a stand.
Exactly. But, with all the success, there's got to be some downsides, right?
Yeah. I mean, they can't be perfect. No company is.
Right. And we'll dive into those complexities after a quick word from our sponsor.
Sounds good. We'll be right back with more on Big Bear Construction.